Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to today's daily quiz session, and before looking into today's questions, I would like to announce that 6 p.m. tomorrow, kindly be with us for the UPSC workshop. It is going to be a place where we shall talk about the right preparation method and the right preparation strategy with just 100 days to go for your UPSC Prelims 2024. We will do some myth busting and we will talk about certain tricks that could enable your preparation to be far more easy. So do join us 6 p.m. tomorrow by BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS live. That is 17th February 2024. And now back to today's questions. The first question on your screen is in context of the Omkareshwar Dam. But before we look at the question in detail, why the question became important today. The reason is a PIB release pertaining to solar energy. Yes, of late, in the last 10 to 15 days, we have been repeatedly referring to solar energy. Because just like the PM Suryodaya scheme, just like we spoke about enhancing the PM Kusum scheme, today we are talking about another news which says that the Honorable Prime Minister of India is ready to dedicate about 300 megawatt Nokhra solar power project. This shall be executed by the NTPC and this shall be created in Bikaner. That's in Rajasthan. And on this note, let's go back to the question which says, on which river is the Omkareshwar Dam situated? The options are A. Godavari River, B. the Tava River, C. the Narmada River, or D. is it the Tapti River? Now let's remember all these rivers mentioned here, they do drain through Madhya Pradesh, right? Also let's remember that the Tava River happens to be in fact one of the largest tributaries of the Narmada River. But here, when you talk about the Omkareshwar Dam, it is situated on the Narmada River. In fact, Omkareshwar Dam is one of the huge gravity dams in India. And it is situated exactly on River Narmada, that's upstream on River Narmada. Very, very close to Khandwa district of Madhya Pradesh. Let's also remember that this was initiated or built back in 2003 to 2007, and the purpose was to irrigate the region with volumes of water, more than about 130,000 hectares of water. In that context, let's also remember that the Omkareshwar Dam has been named after the very well-known temple that is situated just downstream of the river. And hence, C here becomes your valid answer. On that note, let's also talk about quickly Omkareshwar Floating Power Project or Omkareshwar Floating Solar Park. Now this shall be, when it is fully ready, one of the world's largest such floating solar parks. According to the announcement made by the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, among the rare few solar parks of the world which are created on water, this shall make its own name because it shall be one of the largest such situated in Madhya Pradesh. And hence, C is your correct answer. Now let's proceed with the second question on your screen, and this is an analysis of two statements here. The first statement is talking about Milan. Now Milan is a Hindi word which actually stands for confluence of two things, mixing of two things, collaboration between two things. And yes, we are talking about a naval exercise hosted by the Indian Navy. But why this question today? The question has come because from the Economic Times we get to know that warships have arrived from the US, Russia and Iran all to gear up for the upcoming multinational Milan exercise 2024. And on that note, the first statement says Milan is a biennial multilateral naval exercise, which means many navies of various countries participate here, which was initiated by the Indian Navy back in 1995. This is a correct statement. The first statement is valid here because, as I said, Milan or confluence is an initiative of the Indian Army itself, and it was held back in 1995 to begin with. Even in the inaugural session, it witnessed a massive participation of navies not just Indian, but Sri Lankan. We had Navy from Thailand. We had Navy from Singapore. As well as Indonesia. And hence it was a massive event. Now let's remember that back in 2020, the Indian Navy had ambition of hosting the biggest ever Milan exercise, but unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the event had to be stalled temporarily. And therefore, 2022 once again boasted of a massive event which saw participation of more than 42 navies. And now back to 2024. 2024 Milan comes with a unique theme of camaraderie. That means a very close friendship. We talk about cohesion. That's the spirit of unity among various navies and collaboration. Now, since these navies are going to conduct this event together, it is about exchanging operational maneuvers, tactical naval knowledge, various kind of seminars and social events. And on that note, second statement says, the security and growth for all in the region, abbreviated often as SAGAR, is an initiative. It is a maritime initiative, which means it's a naval, it's a sea-oriented initiative that prioritizes Indian Ocean region to ensure peace, stability and prosperity in the Indian Ocean region. This also is a valid statement in context with the SAGAR initiative. Now, we may have heard about the word blue economy very often. Blue economy refers to the economy of a country which is trying to bolster or promote its relationship with its neighbors apart from focusing on its domestic growth by utilizing its naval capacities or the capacities of ocean resources. So SAGAR is a great initiative in India's target of becoming a blue economy. Because talking about SAGAR, this was first announced back in 2015 by the Honorable Indian Prime Minister. The idea was to create a much better maritime or naval cooperation in the Indian Ocean by aligning countries for a safer Indian Ocean region. And on that note, both the statements here look valid, making C as your correct answer. Off to the question number 3 here. It says, consider the following statements. Statement 1 talks about Nai Roshni scheme. It says, the Nai Roshni scheme, it was created with an aim to provide energy access, power access to all by last mile connectivity. Now, when we say last mile, we are talking about the ground level connectivity, right at the grassroots local village level. And electricity connections to all remaining unelectrified households in rural India as well as urban regions. Do you think this is a correct statement? What an irony. The word Roshni indeed means light. It could therefore give a false feeling of electricity, but that's not true because Nai Roshni has really nothing to do with fuel, power or electricity. In fact, it was an initiative that was taken by the Ministry of Minority Affairs. The purpose was to create empowerment of minority women by enabling skill upgradation for them. Also, by providing leadership skills to them. That was the idea behind the scheme. So, therefore, it is all about minority women empowerment, and the first statement hence is not correct. Second statement, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana was launched to promote or to provide deposit-free LPG gas connections to women from poor households. Is that a valid statement? Yes, this is a valid statement because the intention behind the Ujjwala scheme that was rolled out in 2016 by the Indian government was to provide subsidized free LPG gas connections alongside technical know-how of installation free assets that come with a new LPG cylinder, a proper training booklet to all people who come from below poverty line background, and hence it was implemented through the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Second statement is valid, but the first statement should actually remind us of another scheme. And yes, we are referring to the Saubhagya scheme. It was the Saubhagya scheme that aimed at creating and providing electricity to the last mile household in India. So therefore, just the second statement is valid, making B your correct answer. The reason why this question became prominent for us today was a release in the Economic Times where the article said the LPG imports in India have surged majorly, like above 60% in just 5 years. And imports in the real value have gone up to 18.3 million metric tons in just the period of 2022-2023. And here we are talking about expanding consumption, expanding imports, and yet declining exports. So this is something that we need to focus upon, and this is coming from a data gathered by Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. And now let's hop off to the fourth question of the day. Again, a set of two statements. The first one talks about the Sirivac or the Siravac. Siravac is India's first indigenously, that is domestically, developed quadrivalent human papillomavirus vaccine or the HPV vaccine. That is said to be effective. It prevents, it helps you against 4 strains of HPV virus, namely the 6, 11, 16 and type 18 strains. Is that a correct statement? It is a correct statement because yes, Siravac refers to India's self-developed vaccine, which is quadrivalent because it works against 4 different strains to enable people protection against cervical cancer. Now talking about cervical cancer, let's remember that cervical cancer is not only the 4th most common kind of cancer among women across the world. Talking about India, it is the 2nd most predominant variety of cancer and cancer-related mortality, that's death, among Indian women. And hence, let's remember that the vaccine here is typically encouraged to be used by girls as young as 9 to 16 years of age. In fact, Indian schools are also talking about initiative where free cervical cancer vaccines will be provided to girls who are adolescent. That is, before they turn into puberty. So that's the idea here. Now the vaccine works by triggering an immune response system, an antigen system in the body, which could target the virus cells if they infect the system. And the first statement is valid. Second statement, it has been developed, this vaccine, Siravac, has been developed by the Bharat Biotech International Limited. This is invalid here because it is not the Bharat Biotech, in fact, it is well-known Serum Institute of India that has developed the Siravac vaccine. Let's also remember that Serum Institute of India has claimed to be one of the largest, it is in fact one of the largest vaccine manufacturers across the globe. If you talk about in terms of the doses manufactured and distributed globally, it is a Pune-based institute. A biotech institute very famous for developing vaccines. It was also very prominent during the COVID-19 pandemic. And why Siravac has gained so much attention across the world is because let's believe that 99% of cervical cancer deaths are associated with high-risk viruses that belong to the HPV category or the human papillomavirus category. So therefore, this is a major initiative in this regard. This could enable premature death in a number of Indian women. So in that case, only the first statement here is valid and the answer is A. So now let's see why was the news picked up for consideration. It was an Economic Times release from Science which said that the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, he claims that there has been a significant progress made by Russia to create vaccines towards cancer. Now this could be revolutionary because all along we've heard of immunotherapies, we've heard of the CAR T-cell therapy, and here we are considering vaccines for cancer. A promising news? Let's see how it unfolds in future. And now, after the PYQ, coming to you from 2021, it says, who among the following is associated with a collection, Songs from Prison, a translation of ancient Indian religious lyrics into English. So these were beautiful hymns, Sanskritic verses that were religious in nature. They were taken from Upanishads and they were initially in Sanskrit, but then one of these people, one of these personalities have translated them into English right when they were in the prison. And whom are we talking about? So out of A, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, B. Jawaharlal Nehru. See, Gandhiji and D. Sarojini Naidu, we are referring to Mahatma Gandhi. It was he, while in the 1930s, he was in the Yaravada jail of Pune. That was when he had created this translation, very acclaimed in the poetic world, very acclaimed in the literature world. And hence C is your correct answer. Now, let's quickly analyze a very interesting fact of the day. And why is this fact being presented to you? The reason is that the news says that northwestern India is all set to experience heavy dose of rainfall. Once more, a cold wave that could be a result of the ongoing or the upcoming western disturbances. Now, something that's popping out right from your NCERT geography, yet very relevant to India's weather phenomena. And what are the western disturbances? Just like the name suggests, they are coming from the west into India. And they are disturbances because they are associated with a rainy, cold, inclement, stormy weather. And that's why this name. So these are typically extratropical storms which originate in the Mediterranean Sea area, and they suddenly appear in the winter season, causing some unexpected rainfall in northwest India. Sometimes they could be associated with lots of weather turbulence, but on other times they are also blessed for us, because these in turn support and they promote the growth of wheat in India. Now, wheat is associated with more abundant outgrowth owing to the western disturbances storm, and hence in a way it's a blessing for the areas which are also the high wheat cultivating areas in northwest India. These storms are very, very rapid. They have a velocity of more than 9,000 kilometers, because of which they collect moisture from sea bodies in between, like Mediterranean Sea, the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. They run over Iran, Afghanistan before they can actually hit the western Himalayas, bringing lots of rain to Punjab, Haryana and the associated area. So western disturbances, the ones that come in winter especially, they bring moderate to heavy rain. As I said, they can cause certain turbulences in the weather. And in low-lying areas, sometimes they also cause heavy snowfall in mountain areas of the Indian subcontinent, and hence the cold wave that is now scheduled to be coming just any time, because this is today's news. Now, they also cause most of the post-monsoon seasonal rainfall, because you know that once the southwest monsoon is over, apart from Tamil Nadu and very few areas in the eastern coast of India, there is no region which receives any rain from the retreating monsoon. And hence, western disturbances are a welcome delight because they cause an out-of-season unexpected rainfalls. So they are very, very helpful for wheat crop and in general, rabi crops. Also, western disturbances are associated with a very cloudy sky, typically an elevated, a higher night temperature, obviously an unexplained spell of rainfall. So sometimes, as we said, excessive rainfall could also cause temporary flooding. They could cause avalanches, that is, heavy snowstorms in the Himalayas, cyclones, windstorms, and therefore they can also do crop damage if they are physically very, very strong. And over the Indo-Gangetic Plain, that's the North Indian belt, they often cause foggy and very, very cold conditions, and that's also the reason why you might have noticed majority number of times it's January and February, the peak winter season, where we do experience a lot of traffic congestion because of constant foggy conditions. And here we talk about the western disturbances. And on that note, I would take your leave for today's quiz. I hope you enjoyed the session. See you very soon with another one. Thank you.